I'm Kvothe from Rediscovered Books.
I'm Jasmine, also from Rediscovered Books.
And we're here to talk about some of the books that we've read this year that we really like, and then some of the ones that are coming up that we're very excited for.
I would like to start with Keepunumuk, Weeâchumun's Thanksgiving story. So this is actually like a true Thanksgiving story. It talks about Native Americans' perspective in regards to like nature and really like showing respect to the land, because you are giving thanks to the crops that have really taken care of you throughout the years, and you're taking care of them as well. What I really love is not only the illustrations, but at the very end there is actually a recipe for one of the indigenous dishes that they used to eat during their Thanksgiving celebration. So you can actually make it with your family.
One of the ones that I read this year that I really liked is Cress Watercress by Gregory McGuire. It's about a rabbit whose father disappears, so she and her family have to move somewhere else, and she's not very happy about it. One of the things that I really enjoy is that there are just these absolutely beautiful illustrations that show up intermittently throughout the story, and then also it's just a very gentle tale about how to deal with loss of a family member, moving to new places, making new friends. It's a very relatable story, but told by animals.
Another book that I'm excited about, or that I am excited to share that has come out this year, is book number 2, Barb and the Ghostblade. This was one of the first advanced copy books that I got while working here, so truly one of the first books that I was excited about working here. If you are a fan of Dogman, I highly recommend Barb. She has a best friend named Pork Chop, who's just a really fun Yeti. They are not only like fighting crime, kicking bad guys' butts, but they're also realizing that, you know, the fighters and the monsters can be friends. You're gonna laugh, and you're gonna laugh some more.
The second one that I'm going to talk about that I read this year that I really liked is Hell Followed With Us. It's a story about a transgender individual who's part of a cult in the middle of an apocalypse, which sounds like a lot, but it is so fascinating, and it really deals with a lot of relevant issues that we've been talking about right now. It's a monster story, it's a trans protagonist, it's a story about how cults and religious fundamentalism does harm people. So this is definitely one of the ones that I really enjoyed this year.
The third book I'm going to talk about that I'm very excited to share that's come out this year is called Attack of the Black Rectangles by Amy Serene King. This is actually based on a true story. The author's son came home with a book that had basically like black marker throughout some lines of it. This story follows the main character, Mac Delaney. He's a 12-year-old boy. He's growing up in this town that has a lot of rules. For the older folks out there, it's going to remind you of Footloose. Dancing is fine, but no candy in public areas, and you can't have pizza delivered to your house. What kind of town is this? That's what Mac is asking. And then he gets this teacher who, hands out these books. They're reading The Devil's Arithmetic, and he's told not to read ahead, but you can't tell Mac what to do. He loves to read, so he's skipping ahead, and he's seeing that lines are crossed out, and he asks himself why. One of the things, the next step he does is he goes to a bookstore, which reminds me so much of our bookstore. They talk about the manga and the D&D books that they have, and how like the store is so warm and welcoming. It reminds me of my bookstore so much. This is a great book that tackles censorship, which is an issue that has really affected us in the community with a lot of the book banning that has been going on. So I think this is really timely for us. It gives especially grown-ups and kids alike the ability to see how censorship can be addressed in a respectable way, and how to kind of address those feelings that can kind of go along with that. You know, don't discount me just because I'm a kid. I can handle stuff. They're reading a book about the Holocaust, and there's stuff that's crossed out in that book, but it's not the stuff that you would think that should be crossed out. So it's just really intriguing. I recommend checking it out.
The last one that I read this year that I really liked is Where Black Stars Rise, which is a retelling or like a reinterpretation of the King in Yellow by one of the authors that inspired Lovecraft. So it tackles a lot more than I thought it would with what it's like to move to a new country and leave your family back in the country you emigrated from, what it's like to, the main character's a counselor, so what it's like to deal with people that you can't save, and like the mentality of trying to save people without really looking at them as people themselves. The other thing that I just love is the art is insane. It is so cool, and it really uses color, especially yellow, in a way that is really interesting, and it is a graphic novel that has kind of sunk its hooks into my brain at this point. I've been talking to everyone I look at about it, and it's one of the best graphic novels that I've read this year.
Alright, so some books that haven't come out yet that I'm excited to talk about. Number 1, Simon and Chester number 3. Simon and Chester is a children's graphic novel series that is hilarious. Simon is a ghost who's really just kind of figuring out how to be a ghost, and his best friend is a human boy named Chester. It is so funny. Simon is absolutely crazy, and Chester is the straight man somehow, and he's just a boy. So number 3, which is coming out, is called Super Family! And it looks like it includes Chester's grandma, who we don't really see too much interacting within the story. She's more like, you know, someone who's accidentally bothered by ghosty stuff. But there's also a big ghost conference that's coming, and I'm concerned for Chester. I don't think he's going to do well. Simon. I'm concerned for Simon. I don't think he's going to do well, so hopefully Chester can help him out, but we'll find out.
One of the ones that I'm really excited for, that I've actually made a pact with one of my fellow booksellers to read together, is The 9 Eyes of Lucian, which is by Critical Role and also the author Madeleine Roux. It's the backstory of, in my opinion, the best villain in the entire series. It has tieflings, eldritch monsters, cults, that's kind of a running theme, and it just looks so fascinating. I'm really excited to consume it.
Did you know that I actually played a tiefling in a D&D campaign?
I did not know that. Tieflings are fun. I think they're great.
Very great. The next book that I'm excited to talk about that hasn't come out yet is a graphic novel. It's actually an autobiographical graphic novel by author Zoe Thorogood. It's called It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. It's kind of her journey through her mental health, journey. It's got a lot of different artistic takes on it, kind of different feelings and how you go through that. She starts it out with kind of a warning, like this is about mental health, this is about self-harm as well, and suicidal thoughts. So I wanted this to be a comfort to people, but I want to also make sure you're in a place to consume that. So I think that is really important for an author who is writing something that is about mental illness, to make sure that the audience is ready to take on that. And I personally was one of those ones who found it very comforting. So I'm excited to see other people's take on it.
This second one that I'm looking forward to that comes out before the end of the year is called DPS Only by Valinxi, which is she is a webcomic artist who's putting her book into print. And so it's about Vicky, who is this shy girl, is really introverted, is kind of in the shadow of her older brother, who is an incredible esports competitor. And so she's trying to live with kind of this persona, this life that she is part of, but she also moonlights as an esports competitor herself. And she is very well known in the arenas that she participates in. And so it becomes kind of this way for her to escape the routine of her life. But her identity is threatened when she decides to join a local tournament. So it's about, like, is she going to kind of withdraw back to this life that she knows is safe, or is she going to celebrate in something that she really enjoys, kind of that conflict? And I'm really excited. The art is absolutely beautiful, so I'm excited to actually get my hands on a copy of it.
The last book I'm excited to have come out that isn't out yet is called The Futuristic Analog, How to Create a More Human World by David Sachs. It's kind of this take on how, like, at the point of the pandemic when everyone was staying at home, how it kind of required us to get more in touch with our creative sides, whether it be supply chain issues, needing to make bread at home, or finding creative ways to stay connected with your friends and family. And it's kind of this balance of, do we want to spend time creating technologies to make our life easier, or do we want to connect and be creative and get more in touch with our human side? So I'm excited to see where that balance lies, what his take on it, and what other people think.
My creative side was definitely just Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing all the way through.
Yeah.
The last one that I'm excited to read when it comes out, it's coming out fairly soon at the time of this video, is called Braiding Sweetgrass for young adults, and it is a young adult version of the the memoir by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And what I'm excited for is the pages are like much more engaging for a young reader, and frankly more engaging for an adult reader.
Hello.
But it also talks a lot about Indigenous wisdom and stories that the author recalls from her childhood that are important to her, but also kind of in lieu of living in a mid or post-pandemic world, what do we respect about nature, what do we love about nature, and then how do we continue to try to preserve nature. So she has a lot of interesting thoughts on it that I, as a non-Indigenous person and as a person who spends a lot of time inside, just didn't really think about or didn't really know. So I'm really interested in what she has to say and how she'll say it. It's also another one that I want to pick up a physical copy of and just look at. So that is 3 books that we're excited for this year that are coming out October, November, December, and it's also some books that we really liked reading.
So please come and talk to us about these wonderful books. We want to hear what you think. It's exciting to be able to share books that we love with people that we might not know, but we have something in common, and it's that we love these freaking stories.
Yes.
So thank you so much for spending time watching this video, and we hope to see you in the store.